Hello and welcome to a new episode of The Workshop, featuring Invisible Inc. Not only is this game an amazing pun, it's also a really awesome roguelike. So if you guys are noticing the types of games I really like, they're usually strategic, slow-paced, turn-based games. And that's for a multitude of reasons. Number one, because they're just really games that I really like. But number two, it's also because anything that's pseudo real-time is kind of garbage in my machine. I can play it decently well, but the moment I try to record it, it's gonna look really terrible for you guys, and it's gonna have lots of stuttering and frame rate drops, and it's just gonna be really bad for you as the viewer. So let's not do that. So for this episode, we're gonna start a campaign in Invisible Inc. An Invisible Inc. campaign takes, give or take around an hour or two, depending on how well you do and how bad you do. So we'll see how far we can take this campaign. So the first few episodes of Invisible Inc. are mostly gonna be about me explaining the mechanics and all that stuff to you guys. So be careful and watch out for me explaining a lot in this video. So let's play a game. Play the story mode. Alright, so let's just go with Experienced, which is the quote-unquote normal mode. And let's start the game.
Get to the main server, collect the data, and get out. No detours.
Copy that, Central.
Proceeding to target. Insertion was clean. Alarm level holding steady. We need to get to the third floor. We can make our way to the server room from there.
Any chatter on the comms?
Negative. It's silent on all frequencies.
They should have detected us by now.
Receiving priority wireless transmission.
They're onto you. Get out. Get out of there!
HQ compromised. We're going to need an extraction. I've got Incognita. Deckard and International are on their way.
Get to the roof. I'll cover you. Go!
Decker, how long till extraction?
30 seconds.
Get us out of here. We've got work to do.
So hopefully that opening sequence wasn't too loud for you guys, but Incognita's story is essentially you're a bunch of spies in a spy agency, and then a bunch of corporations totally came in and wrecked your HQ. Now, all your agents, well, most of your agents are now either captured or in holding cells or dead. And now you have to essentially get everything back. You have to find the place for Incognita to keep up. Incognita only has 72 hours worth of power left, and once she's down, your agency is essentially crumbled to the ground and it's irrecoverable. So you basically have to find a battery source for Incognita, or else game over. So we have to start with a few sets of available agents. In the cutscene, you saw both Decker and International, and for simplicity's sake, I will start off with them. But as we go through the levels, we'll eventually find the rest of these guys as we go on. And I will start off with the default programs of Power, Drip, and Lockpick 1.0. I have unlocked all the other programs, but we won't make it complicated. Let's just go with the vanilla starting set, and let's start this game. It's 2074, and corporations rule the world with brutal efficiency. They hit you hard, and now you're on the run. You need to strike back, but you'll never win by force. Keep your agents alive with stealth and cutting. Raid the corpse's facilities for tools and support, and prepare your team for the final showdown. The odds are stacked against you. You will fail repeatedly, but each time you will learn more about your adversaries, and every restart generates a new world of dangers and opportunities. You have a tough job ahead of you, operator. Don't let us down. I'm ready, game. Day 1.
Operator, are you there? Good. I was afraid you didn't make it out. Headquarters is gone. Most of our agents have been captured or killed, and our accounts all frozen. I don't know how the corporations found us, but you can bet they won't give up now that they've had a taste of blood. The Jet's stealth rig should keep us hidden if we keep moving, but Incognita can't survive long on backup power. She's got 72 hours, tops. We need to mount a counterattack before then, or we'll be defenseless against their scans. If that happens, we may as well just crash this thing into the ocean. You've never seen the inside of a corporate deprogramming chamber. I won't see the inside of another. Incognita is scanning for targets of opportunity where we can replenish our supplies. Follow her leads and gather what resources you can. I'll run through our contacts and see what favors I can call in. We're going to need all of the advantages we can find in the coming days.
Okay, so essentially this game is, it says we have 72 hours remaining, and we essentially have to go to a bunch of nodes or blips on the map and essentially raid fortresses. As the game was kind enough to tell us, we can't win fights. Every stage, even level 1, will be really hard to win because the guards will oftentimes either outnumber us or outgun us, meaning that stealth is your #1 option in this game. So it's a stealth tactical roguelike. Basically, think of it like XCOM, but you don't kill things. Which might sound weird, but I'll show you.
Executives are notoriously slack when it comes to network security, and their terminals are full of interesting information. We found a lightly guarded executive complex here. Get in, find the computer, and steal their contact list. Then we'll have our pick of future targets.
Okay, so let's look at this screen first. So this kind of mission is called an executive terminal mission, and the objective is to find the corporate directory terminal and retrieve the information. And our reward will be to pinpoint new corporate locations of interest. So as you can see on our map, it's basically devoid of everything, right? It's only this one blip. Essentially, by doing this mission, more blips will appear on the screen, which allows us to either find new missions, find new items, or things like that that may interest us in the long run.
Executives are notoriously slack when it comes to network security.
Yes.
And their terminals are full of interesting information. We found a lightly guarded executive complex here. Get in, find the computer, and steal their contact list. Then we'll have our pick of future targets.
Okay, so this is the mission type, and this is the corporation we're planning to raid, the Plastech Cyber Medical. Using cybernetic augmentation, they have modified their troops to meld with the mainframe. So this basically tells you what kind of dungeon you're about to enter. Each corporation has a specific set of tools and a specific set of skills, which they will use to find you and kill you. So the Plastech basically means that a lot of their units are basically hackable, which we'll talk about later on, and they usually use augments that basically augment their abilities, making them bigger threats than they usually are. And then this is a guarded one. So this keyword here determines how hard the dungeon is. 1 makes it the easiest, so let's go in there. As you can see, it takes up a certain amount of hours to go to this corporation, 11 hours as you saw in the map. And
Log acquired. Ready for transport.
we'll see how this goes.
Bad
bad news, Operator. They caught us completely by surprise, so we have no firepower with us. The guards' weapons are gene-coded to their owner, and useless to us. We're going to have to make do with what we can find along the way. We've beamed you through the security grid. You should be somewhere near the target, but you'll need to look for it. Get the list and find a transport pad to escape. But be quick about it. They noticed a disturbance when we ported in, and their alarm level is already rising.
Locate the executive terminal, get out alive, and our secondary objective is to find and steal corporate credits, which is money. So, welcome to the starting screen of Invisible, Inc. Sorry about the long time. And this basically, as you can see, is a tactics game. We can even change the direction and everything like that. So, every turn we end, the security level will go up. When the security level has gone up 5 times, it will increase in level, and the thing that says next security measure will happen. So more surveillance cameras will activate, which is a problem for us because we don't want to be seen. Again, this is a stealth game. Unlike XCOM, unlike XCOM, you'll be able to use actions, not like move, attack, attack, and move. No, not like that at all. And instead, you have a certain amount of action points, and each certain actions take a certain number of action points. For example, each space we move costs 1 action point. Activating sprint gives us more action points, but it makes us make noise, attacking, and so on and so forth. Basically, various actions will cost action points. And each character has a specific set of abilities that will be useful for us in the long run. So as you saw here when I clicked International, all of these random things popped up on the screen. These are mainframe devices, and International's wireless emitter allows her to reveal nearby mainframe objects. Now, what's a mainframe object? We'll go into that later on after we talk about Decker. But Decker is a very interesting character. Notice that he has more AP than International does, because he's all about moving fast and moving quick through the level. Basically, he's one of the stealthier characters in the game, helped by the fact that number 1, his neural networking allows him to uncover daemons in adjacent objects, which means that he's really good for getting objectives. But he also comes with a modded cloaking rig, allowing him to essentially become invisible should he get caught, which is very important because in this game, the moment an enemy sees you, you're as good as dead. Because they have guns, and we don't have guns. Alright, so now we've gone over our 2 agents and what they can do. So what are these mainframe devices? Well, they are things that give us various bonuses if we hack them. So to hack something, let's go into Incognita, and we enter her hacking menu. At the cost of power, we are able to use the programs listed on the left here. For example, the equipped lockpick 1.0 allows us to break 1 firewall for 2 power. These numbers that you see next to the mainframe objects are the amount of firewalls we have to break, meaning that I can spend 2 power in order to hack this nano fabricator or hack this secondary server terminal. Note that you gain power by hacking these things, the consoles, by being adjacent to it and then hacking it. However, because we're International, we can hack it from afar and gain extra bonuses. So that gives us +2 power, which is quite useful because that's 1 use of our lockpick ability. So now let's look at what these things do. This allows us to buy stuff from it, which is very useful, but we don't really have a lot of credits, seeing as we only have 500. And finally, this one is it. I think this is a shop as well. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Okay, so the strategy in this game really revolves around making sure that you aren't seen. And part of not being seen is knowing what the room you're about to enter is all about. The peek button is a very, very powerful tool in this game because by peeking, it does this. You see, we are now able to see a bit into the room, but not that much. Mostly because there's still a door in the way. So, if we look into this room, we see that there's no red spaces. And red spaces usually indicate that there's an enemy there. By opening the door, we gain more sight into the room, and we can see now that only this corner and this corner are blackened out, meaning that those are the only two spaces that we probably don't see. But seeing as there are no red spaces anywhere, it's highly unlikely that an opponent will be here, meaning that we get free reign and get to run into this room. However, Invisible Ink is all about managing little things in order to maximize your advantages. So instead of running straight here where I want to be, let's go here first and close the door. This is very useful because if an enemy decides to pass by here, they won't be able to see International because the door is in the way, which is very useful. So International's wireless scanner has shown us the power supply, which means that there is a grid somewhere here, which I'll explain later on. This makes me want to hack it, so let's hack it. Yup, it's a shop. So this kind of shop essentially gives us more programs for Incognito to use. I don't really like Root that much. So, yeah, that was a waste of power, quote unquote. Let's move here so that we're closer to the door and require less action points next turn. So now with Decker, we'll peek into this room, and that's a grid. So if you pass through this, it will up the security, which can be very dangerous for us because we don't want enemies to know that we're here. Let's open the door and we see further into the room. But it seems like this room is just this nanofabricator and nothing else. So there's no point in going there. So we go here and peek into this room, which is empty again. Let's enter this room, close this door, and stay here. No, stay here. Should an enemy enter, I think they won't be able to see directly here if they walk fast enough. So we can of course toggle the walls, but I like it seeing the walls. And let's end the turn. So when our turn ends, enemies get their chance to move around and all that stuff. And as predicted... What? Well, that's a bunch of malarkey. Two enemies saw us, which is really bad. And it's a good thing we sent Decker into this room. So let's think about this later and let's go with International first. No need to panic because panicking will lose you the game. This is very interesting. There's nothing here. Okay. I'm gonna leave this door open. That's mostly a bad play and a misplay on my part, so I'm really sorry about that. We can choose to rewind to the start of the previous turn, but I won't because I feel like that's cheating sometimes. So here's the thing. If you try to move, it'll show you this option saying watched. This location is watched by the enemy. But the important notification here is agent tracked. The enemy will turn as you move. And here's the problem with this game. If you move one space and the enemy still sees you, you get shot and your agent falls down. It's a good thing, however, that we are using Decker. And we have an out. And our out is to use the modded cloaking rig. Renders the user invisible until their next turn or if they attack. So if I use the modded cloaking rig now,
Damn it, they got away.
the enemies won't see me and I'll be able to get out.
What was that?
So as we can see here, this entire place is filled with yellow spots and red spots, which is dangerous. So let's access Incognita and hack this camera in order to bring it to our side, making it our friend. So we'll close the door there. So this enemy sees this. So when this interest point is on the screen, this enemy will walk towards this interest point next turn, and this enemy on the other hand will walk towards this entrance point next turn. So now that we know our enemy's pathing, there's one of two ways that we can settle this. I can either just stay here invisible without the enemy noticing me, which I think should be the way we go. Or I could choose to overwatch and attack him. Now, this might seem like a smart idea. Why don't you overwatch and attack him? Well... okay. We actually might want to overwatch and attack him because this door is locked. And we can't access it without a keycard, and only guards have keycards. So, let's ambush so that we can show you this mechanic. So we'll end the turn, and now we'll see what the enemy's up to.
Scanning the area.
You ain't hiding from me.
Okay. So that enemy crashed through the door, meaning that this door can no longer be closed, which can be a problem since this enemy is hot on our trail. But let's go to International first, and let's scout the next room. So that's an open door, that's fine. Let's walk up to this room. Okay. So let's pickpocket this guy, and hopefully he has, yes, he has a key card, which allows us to open this door. And let's peek. There's nothing here. Let's open it. Let's go here, close this door, because if this enemy sees that the guard has been knocked out, he'll become wary. And this is really good for us, because if the guard goes here, I'll be behind this cover. So let's end the turn.
Alarm level 1.
So now we see that additional cameras are...
Surveillance level increased.
Okay, Incognita, I get it. So now we see that the cameras are becoming online, and if we go into Incognita, it will show us where the cameras are. For example, this camera is rebooting, but since we won't be going near that area anymore, there's no point in hacking that terminal. So it's just a waste of power which we may find useful later on. Now that Decker's out of that hairy situation, let's see. This room is relatively... oh, it's a dead end. This is bad news bears. So let's hack this machine. Let's head back out. So our stun gun has a 3-turn cooldown, so we'll have to wait. I want to go into this room. Oh, and guards, by the way, if you see this number on top, this basically means that guards aren't knocked out the whole time. They stay knocked out only for a few turns, so be very wary of that. So it seems like International is gonna be our go-to girl for finding the objective. And this room is usually the room we want, because this is usually the room with the executive terminal.
That's an executive terminal. It still has a solitaire game up on the screen.
So we will encrypt the data here. But the problem is the moment we encrypt that data, the enemy pathing will change, which can be a problem, but we'll see. Let's take a peek, by the way, since action points don't carry over onto the next turn. Now this is interesting because the guard has disappeared, so we don't know where he'll be. Okay, so we have a lot of power. Incognita will be very good. International, you're gonna be our go-to girl because we need to hack this thing. Oh, there's 2 safes here. Oh, that's very good. We'll hack that next turn when we need them. So for now, let's hack this. International can access it. Steal the site
Good
list.
job. You've got the site list. They noticed you poking about and have changed up their patrols. Be careful on your way out.
So this is what I was talking about, wherein the patrols will change. I've put International in cover, so if enemies are coming from this side, they won't see her. Coming from this side, they won't see her either because of the angle. Now for Decker, the problem here is that this guy's about to wake up and he's about to start patrolling this area again. So it's really good for Decker to, for the lack of a better term, get the heck out. Let's befriend this camera. And befriend this camera. Okay, it seems that after befriending both of those cameras, the enemy is nowhere to be seen. So Decker might want to sprint out of here. So that's interesting. You see that sprinting basically gave me more AP to work with. But now every time I move, it makes a sound, which can alert enemies. So if we move here, Oh, that's excellent. There's the enemy though. So the enemy's there, which can be a problem for us, but we'll have to work with it later. And let's end the turn. Hopefully the enemy doesn't patrol into this room. Never mind. The enemy didn't see me because I wasn't in their line of sight. So now Decker gets to move and locked everyone out. Bank. Bye-bye. So there's a guard here. So, International, let's go here. Okay, so there's a camera there. So instead of peeking, we can use the camera. Wow, that's a lot of money. Wow, that is a lot of money. International is gonna love this. So, basically, we steal everything in this room. But we can wait until next turn because we don't need to use the power right now. One strategy I feel that's very important in this game is power management. If you just waste all of your power willy-nilly, it's gonna be a big problem for you.
Looking around.
So hacking the cameras gives us sight, and it's very powerful because we get to see what's going on. Okay, so here's a trick that I showed you guys earlier, but I'll show you again because I'll show you that you don't need to be seen by the guard to use this trick. Close this door.
Did you see that?
This guy suddenly goes, hey, did you guys see that? And then now we can ambush him, and the same thing will happen as last time. Of course, this will mean that Decker, quote-unquote, wastes a turn, but that's okay. Now, a small optimization we can make is going here instead and ambushing from this side. Because if he gets ambushed, he gets put into this space. Which is better than putting him in this space, because if an enemy comes in through this door, they'll see the body here, but they won't see the body here. That's just a small optimization. Now, for this turn, Incognita can just steal everything. Alright. International. If I'm correct, the sprint won't reach his ears. Exactly, and this is why International is so powerful, because her ability allows us to see cameras which we normally don't see with other characters. So that's extra money, which is useful for later. Again, more extra money. We can hack this from our power. That's plus 5 power. That's really good. Let's hack this for more information on the enemy. So these two green lines indicate to me that this is the exit, which is really good. So now we've found the exit, we've gotten our objective, and we've raided the enemy safes. Let's raid this one next turn too. So all we have to do now is get both of our agents into this elevator and then leave before the securities all mess us up.
Investigating area.
So now these guys are sprinting, and I'm just, you know, being my happy jolly self. Now here's the thing about this game is that the security level will continuously go up, and the higher and higher it goes, the more atrocious the defenses become, ranging from things like increasing the firewalls of everything on the level to literally just summoning more guards for you to fight, and that's a big problem. So let's get this cred ship, and I think Decker is quote-unquote home free, but let's still be cautious. Close the door. Let's have Decker run all the way here. And I think next turn he can make it to the exit. International is not as lucky because she's still gonna have to raid this safe. But that's okay. Most of the guards are literally on the opposite side of the map. That ends our turn, and our enemies will be patrolling.
Investigating the area.
Enemies don't really walk that far in this game. Okay.
Firewalls increased. Data security enhanced.
So, alarm level 2, basically, the firewalls are much tougher. So, for example, this one used to be 1, now it's 2. Simple as that. International. Okay, we'll start running. Again, let's close all the doors on the way there. And since Decker's so close already, let's just keep in here as support just in case we need it. So it seems that our agents are basically home free. Yeah, we can run International into the other room. So that's the exit teleporter. So the enemy, as you can see here, that enemy already woke up and he's starting to patrol. But it doesn't matter because we're home free.
Excellent work, operator. Now to sift through the data and find the juiciest targets.
So this is the mission report showing what we did and how much hacking we did, whatever. It's basically a summary of what happened in that. And it basically, this is the important part here, the credits and the items and programs. This essentially tells us how much we gained this level. So credits can be used in a variety of ways. They can be used to level up your characters and buy new programs and all that stuff, but I'll explain that in the next episode. This pretty much does it for this episode of The Workshop. If you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, do put them in the comment section down below, and I will be sure to answer. Without much else to say, thanks for watching, and good night.